Hello everyone and welcome to another one of our demonstrations and conversations with potters here at Andrea Fisher Fine Pottery. Today I'm pleased to welcome Diego Valles and his wife Carla Martinez from the village of Mata Ortiz in northern Chihuahua, Mexico. How's it going, you two?
Everything's going great. Happy to be back at Andrea's. Thank you for the invitation, and here we are.
Thank you.
Awesome. So what have you guys started on today?
We're gonna start building. Unfortunately, this time I forgot my own clay, but luckily we're in Santa Fe, so we were able to dig some clay around, scrape here and there, some walls. So we got what we need for building our pottery, and I want to start building a small vessel. What about you, Carla?
I'm going to make a small piece. Well, it's not really a small one. It's like a medium.
For your sizes, right?
For my size, yes, because I usually work on miniatures. But yeah, I'm going to make a medium size piece.
And so normally where do you get the clay?
We get our clays from the region of Mata Ortiz. It's a very rich region in clay deposits of many different colors and textures and properties in general. But we collect it all around Mata Ortiz. We have a very nice white clays which are not that common, for the temperatures we manage. And also we have all terracotta colors, browns and reds, yellows. And then we mix them together and we come up with different clay bodies for properties and colors. But it's all local.
Well, in my case, I always work with white clay. I prefer it because of the way I paint. I use a very fine brush, so for me, it's better to use white clay.
Yeah, because the colors stand out better, right?
Yeah.
Against the white background.
Exactly, and with the black painting and the red one, it's easier for me to work with those pigments.
So I see the coil that you're using is very fat.
Yes, usually the coils we work with in Mata Ortiz in general are thick, about an inch in diameter. Not the tiny coils that other Native American groups use. And then from here we just stretch, pinch and stretch, out and up and come up with very thin walls. And depending on the size of the pots, of course, we use different numbers of coils. We can have a single coil piece, or we can have multiple coils if the size is getting bigger and bigger. Carla, she pretty much pinches out, out of a single piece, the whole shape.
Yeah, I don't need to use coils. I can make my pieces just pinching.
What shape are you doing, Carla?
So what is your favorite part about making pots?
Well, I really like to make the pieces. I like the whole process, Probably it's easier to say what is the part that I don't like it, that is sanding.
Oh, the sanding. That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but I really enjoy and all the whole process,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Diego, what's your favorite part?
I think for me it's basically the same. I don't like sanding. I don't think anybody really likes or enjoys sanding their pieces because
Well,
it's dusty
maybe
and
Victoria, our daughter.
I don't
she's-
think she does, but it's just a tedious and dusty work, right? But I like building because I can design at this stage, what my piece is gonna be like. Like my designs, my paintings on the vessels are, or I see them as a continuation of the shape of the pieces. So I'm building a specific shape and I'm already thinking of the painting. So I guess building is my favorite part of the process in that regard, that I'm really creating, I'm designing, I'm experimenting already, even if it's just making something very common or very, in a way, tedious, because I'm just building a shape. But I'm thinking of the little changes, the little details that I can change and how I can incorporate those into the overall design and come up with new finished pieces. It's just really trying to create something contemporary in a way, out of the same tradition in materials and tools.
So do you guys work together at home, or is it something that you do separately?
Well, sometimes we work together, but sometimes Diego is already sanding and I'm just making the pieces. So it's not like we are every day working together.
But we do collaborations.
Yeah, we do.
And do you have a
know.
dedicated space in your home that you work from, or is it a kitchen table, or what's your favorite place to work?
We have a small studio for building. We prepare our clays in the patio, outdoors, of course, and then we build our pieces in a small studio we have, and then we have another small studio and library at home, and that's where we paint. That's our space for painting, and it's more it's small, but it's specifically for painting. We have our desk, our music, our good light.
Speaking of music, what kind of music do you like to listen to when you're working?
Not reggaeton.
Not reggaeton?
No. Well, I like any kind of music. It's
We both have different taste, for music while working. Like usually I listen more music than not, and Carla wants a more quiet or relaxed,
So do you wear headphones when she's working?
We both do. But too bad for her. I like singing, so if she doesn't have headphones, she's gonna be listening to my poor singing skills. But that's how it is, right?
It is what it is.
It is what
And
it is.
you said that your daughters have started to kind of take up clay.
Yeah, our younger daughter, Ana Victoria, she's working with clay. She's experimenting, learning, enjoying the clay. She's actually making utilitarian pottery. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's not doing the same like we do, and well, she's on the road.
So I did just get a question from the internet from Cindy. Cindy is wondering what you were doing, Carla, with the hypodermic needle.
Oh, yeah, I was doing a little hole just to give breathe to my piece. Let me make it a little bit bigger, and you can see it. Well,
we use the needles as
yeah, and then the piece can breathe because I'm gonna make like a drop. It is with this clay is very different to the one that we usually use. It has like more sand, I could say, and it's a little bit more difficult. I can say it. Yeah, but this is why I use the
So you kind of use it as a cutting tool?
yeah.
cutting,
And at the same
trimming
time,
tool.
yeah.
Well, I hope that answers your question, Cindy. If you have more, feel free to write them in. anyway, so Diego, do you already know what you're going to make before you start the piece, or does the clay kind of tell you, or how do you think about the pieces as you begin?
Usually, I just start working something simple, a simple shape, and then I modified it. And then the second one, I like to work like, say, a week or a couple of weeks building, and then I keep working on them. But so the first pieces that I make on the day, or the first piece of the day, it's a simple shape, just to get in touch, with the material, with the clay, and see what happens.
Sort of warmed up,
Just to warm up. That's it. Yeah, warm up, and then.
I don't know if it happens to you, but sometimes when you're making the pieces, then we could say the inspiration, but the ideas come to your mind, and then what are you gonna make, or you have the idea what are you gonna make for the second piece.
Yeah, and sometimes I do sketches, but very rarely. I do sketches, and my sketches are usually for the shapes of the pieces, not for the painting, which. It's often what I've been asked for. Do you draw sketches or the design on paper before putting it onto the pot? And not. My sketches are more about the shapes, and the shape is going to dictate the design that I put on.
So do you guys have a favorite tool to use, or is there anything that you have that you've made that you've discovered works really well as a tool? I mean, obviously, I see you're using what appears to be a bread knife or a hacksaw blade.
It's a kitchen
knife.
It's a kitchen knife.
Most of my tools, we modify. Like, this is the only tool that I have from a ceramic store, but you buy it flat, and it's very useful because it's flexible, and it's metal, it's thin. But then what I do is I just bend it and reshape it. And then I make it my own, and it works much better for my process. But most of my tools come from everyday objects, and most of my tools have history that is personal in a way. Like, these are plastic cards, hotel cards, or see, like this one is from an award that I got in 2011, ages ago.
But is it one of your favorite tools?
It's one of my favorite tools. It's a good reminder of the occasion, a good reminder of the process to get there. But I'll show you my very favorite tool. It's an old knife from the kitchen, and this comes from my mom's kitchen. That's as far as I'll go with the story, but it's a good reminder of where I come from and all we can do if we just put our minds to it.
Well, I don't have a favorite tool, but I have an object that is my favorite when I'm talking about my pottery and my tools. ¿Dónde están mis brochas?
Acá abajo.
And yeah,
let me show you.
Yeah, don't worry about like interrupting or anything. It's no problem at all.
This is my mother-in-law made it for me. At least I try to be very organized, and I take care a lot of my brushes because it's something that I have trouble sometimes to make it work good for me, so I take care of them. And this, my mother-in-law, she made it for me, and so I love it because I can have my brushes very organized.
And it seems like
it's not a tool,
seems like your brushes are pens that you've inserted somehow some hair into. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. Can you explain it, Diego? Maybe it's easier for you to explain how we made.
Well, it's actually very simple. It's just getting rid of the ink container and then clean up. Wash the pans. With paint thinner, and then remove the ball point with a needle, stick it inside out, and bring the ball out. And then the pen is composed here of the shaft, that plastic part, and then the metal tip. We put them apart, get the hair through, bring it out, and then assemble it together in a way that the hairs are trapped between the plastic and the metal
You're welcome
piece.
to watch.
And we don't even need glue for that, you
You're
know.
welcome to come take a look.
And so
if you
that's-
have questions, you can ask too.
That's how the brushes are made. And it's, yeah, probably the most important tool that we use, you know, because the painting is what, for the most part, stands out the most, you know.
So, before you start painting your piece, obviously you have your design in mind.
A little bit, not much. You know,
Not much.
The general idea, like in my case, because of the shape, like I said, you know, it's gonna, or the painting is a continuation of the shape. It's like the clothes, you know, that you choose for an occasion, you know, according to whatever it is.
So,
So I have a pre-made idea, you know, I have a previous idea of what I want for that specific shape, but then as I keep on painting, I draw the first lines, and then something changes, or the clay speaks more, you know, and tells you what if you do this instead of this, or what if you add this else, you know, these other lines. Or what I often do is I incorporate mistakes into the design. So if a line goes farther to where it wasn't supposed to go, then I just rethink, you know, the design, the painting. I'm just gonna close this shape a little bit more. I think it's as wide as it's gonna be.
how is it working with this different clay?
It's drier, it's stiffer in a way, but it's very plastic. It's much coarser than the one we use. I can feel right away, you know, the grit, you know, on it. But it's as good, you know, in the way that you can mold it whatever way you want, and like you don't need to score and slip in order to put together the next coil.
Yeah,
So, I do have a question that just came from the internet, and they would like to know about your firing process.
The firing process, you know, we have traditional firings or electric kiln. Our traditional firings are with cow manure or cottonwood bark, and for our kiln we use a terracotta pot, you know, like a flower pot, very coarse, and so we just cover our piece with it. Let's say this cup is the piece that I'm firing. I use the terracotta or metal bucket, cover it upside down, and build a fire around. There is plenty of information, I hope, on the internet, or if you go to our social media, you know, Diego Valles Pottery on Instagram or Facebook, I have videos and photographs of the process.
So sometimes you use an electric kiln, sometimes you fire outdoors. What determines the choice between the two?
The weather.
The weather.
In many occasions, it's the weather. It's actually several factors. You know, like the weather is one of the main ones, because we live the high desert in Chihuahua. Is very extreme weather, and it's very windy. Our community in Mata Ortiz, so we cannot fire traditionally. If it's windy, like this past windy season was like 3 months on a row, you know, of continuous wind, you know.
And when is your windy season?
January till December. We don't know. It's usually spring and
Okay.
during the fall. So
Okay, and then
also it depends on specific pieces, because some of our pieces we can take even months to finish, like or weeks. I have worked more than 300 hours on a single piece, and I don't want to risk that one if it's windy or raining outside. So I just use the electric kiln and have better chances for the piece, right?
Yep. And so you have better. Does an outdoor firing produce different results than the electric kiln? And do you sometimes make a piece specifically to be fired outside, or do you sometimes make a piece specifically to be fired inside?
Both. It goes all ways, you know. Like I love firing traditionally because of the unexpected, of all the expectation, but also the feeling that you get, working with actual fire, with your pieces, and see what happens. But if we try to be very technical about it, we can have the same results as we do with electric kiln in terms of the cleaning, how clean the clay looks, without smoke clouds or marks. We can achieve that. Of course, it's all after years of experience, but it can be done. But some pieces are made specifically for firing outside.
And so what are the results that are pieces that are fired outside? Is it a color that works best, or what's the difference?
Well, usually the black pottery, the oxide reduction firings, those are made outside. They can be achieved on electric kiln, but usually it's done traditionally outside. But I like working. Like many of my pieces might have what be considered mistakes or errors, but in many cases, those are made intentionally in a way, that I incorporate the flaws into the overall design, and I'm okay with that. I don't believe in perfection. I live in consistency, and I believe in beauty. Out of everything. But I don't think there is something that is perfect, Perfect is only for God, but maybe that's the lazy part of me, trying to accommodate, some of the flaws in my pottery. I don't know. I don't really see it that way, but like smoke clouds, I love that. Like I love Navajo pottery. How beautiful, those come out, with the smoke clouds, or more subtle in a way, but striking as well. The Hopi pottery with some yellowish clouds, stronger than others. It's just so beautiful, and you cannot achieve that with electric kiln or gas kiln.
And do you have an electric or a gas kiln?
We have an electric kiln.
Have you played with a gas kiln? Is there a difference?
I have not. I know it's different in many respects, but consistency in the results, I think it's achievable more in a easier way with electricity, But
yeah. I'm just trying to reset the cameras a little bit, so just ignore me for a little bit. Anyway. So who did you learn from?
Well, I learned from the family Moratena with Jesus and Toña and their children, with Eduardo, with Lalo, Gerardo and Manuel. I grew up with the family working together. And in Mata Ortiz, we learned from our parents mostly. My parents were not potters. So I learned with my neighbors, with this family. And I would come out of school, and just go play with my friends. And if it was time for them to go and collect clay or collect firewood, I would join the family and do that. And that's how we learn, just making it a part of daily life without really telling you, we're going to learn now how to pick up the best cow pies, it's not like that, just go and do it, or we're gonna go and collect clay. Of course, the potter knows where the best clay is, right? So we go to those places. But it's very organic in a way, and I think that's why it spread so fast and so well in Mata Ortiz, because it's not like you had a conventional teacher telling you what to do or what not, and you were not being corrected every time. At least I wasn't. So I was making something, and if it was coming way thicker than it should, or the shape wasn't that cool, I was not scolded, or I wasn't told, oh, what a bad shape, or change this or change that. Usually the recommendations came after I asked, oh, what should I do next? And most of the times it was only compliments, even though I can see now, that I was making a lot of mistakes. My friends were not telling me, oh, what a bad shape, what a poor thing, and that helps a lot, when you're trying to learn something, of course.
Of course. And Carla, did you learn from Diego, or did you learn from family members, or where did you learn?
No, I learned from Diego when we got married. I'm sorry, when we got married.
And when did you guys get married?
Yesterday. Last week.
No, it was like 18 years ago. No, 19 years ago.
And you have 2 daughters, is that correct?
Yeah, we have 2 daughters. Yeah, 17 and 15.
And the 15-year-old one is playing in clay at this point.
Yeah, is the one that is working with clay.
And the 17-year-old going to school,
Yeah.
potentially?
Yeah. Both of them, they're going to the high school next year. Well, the older is going to be on her senior year, and the younger, she's going to start high school. Both of them, they are studying for sure, and we hope they can go to the university. But the one that is more interested on art is Ana Victoria, the younger.
The younger.
Yes.
And is, making pots popular in Mata Ortiz for kids? Are there lots of kids starting, or not really?
I think in all the families, at least one of the kids is doing something with clay, Of course, some of them are very talented, but I think there we have very good talent on the young generations.
Yeah, but we also can see, that most of the kids want to go to school now and come out of the community for sure. It's such a small place in rural Mexico and rural Chihuahua, so they want to go out to a bigger city and see the world and meet more people and learn more. So in a way, professional education, it's in a way interfering with the pottery, in tradition in Mata Ortiz. My generation, most of us became potters. Most of us didn't go to school. Now the kids have the chance to go to school, and they're forgetting a little bit. I mean, there are good potters and there are teenagers and kids learning, but not as much, not close enough, to my generation, from 20 years ago.
So would you say that there's less kids learning than was 20 years ago?
Yes, there's much less kids.
So somebody just posted, thanks for hosting these. They really find them very informative. So we're going to keep doing them here. We enjoy doing these demonstrations here at the gallery. It really bridges a huge gap from a final product that is out there, because there's a lot that goes into everything, whereas generally people can't really see all the steps on their own. So we really appreciate hosting these. Okay, so Somebody is saying the mics are significantly quieter. Let's see if we can fix it. Let us know if that helped. Anyway, so Diego, what are you going to do with this pot? Is it shape-wise? Where are you going with it?
I don't know where I'm going with this because the clay is starting to
Sink a little?
sink a little bit. It is already. I already tried to fix it, but it's happening again. So I'm trying to understand how this works, this clay. See, so
Did you have any trouble crossing the border?
not really, not this time. Usually we cross this border crossing we use is pretty smooth and cool. It just takes time, if it's a long line or not. See, I'm gonna start over, almost here.
Just not happy with how it's going?
No, I know it's not gonna make it. See how it was falling? So I need to make a closer shape.
So Alonso was wondering if you're using a different clay, and because he's just tuning in now, obviously. And so, yes, Diego is using a different clay. He forgot his clay in Mexico and had to go find an adobe wall here in Santa Fe and steal a few adobes to see what he could do. So it is definitely a new and different clay for Diego to be working with, and Carla too. And what would you say is different about it?
This is very coarse. It has a lot of grog in it. It's used for other things, I'm sure it is. It's very moldable, but very plastic. But it doesn't hold the shape as firmly as ours does. So I'm going to make a more closed shape, not so open so that it stays in place.
Well, in my case, I'm making a figure and I made this small piece, but it's basically this is not going to work to be painted because it has a lot of sand, so the brush is not going to stay.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's polishable as well.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
In a way, it will be. I mean,
Maybe.
not as highly polished as Mata Ortiz clay, but it will still be polished. It's possible. And if we don't mention it, it might not be much noticeable because it's pretty good.
Yeah, we'll see how it all comes out. It might be very interesting. Do you even know what color it will fire?
We don't. It looks pinkish. It might be, red, like brick, terracotta. We'll see.
So what's your favorite part about visiting Santa Fe? As a visitor?
I think it's very multicultural, of course. That's obvious. And all the art around, around every corner, wherever you look at, there is art in many forms, different media. I personally love that, that you walk around and you see interesting people, interesting art, great food.
Yeah, it is really great food.
What about you, Carla? What did you enjoy the most? What comes to Santa Fe?
Well, I love to come to Santa Fe. Santa Fe is beautiful, and yeah, you can see many different kind of art. I love jewelry, so I really enjoy it to be checking on the galleries.
So how long generally are you working in the clay? Like every day, every other day, all day?
I work mostly every day, one way or other, with clay. If I'm not building, I'm collecting clay or I'm painting. Mostly painting, painting is a part that of course takes the most part of the time, for the pottery, but I tend to do other things. I like hiking a lot, and so usually the weekends I do hiking. We have a civil association, what we call in Mexico. It's like a non-for-profit organization. So we devote some of our time for that too, with projects for the community. We have a good group of friends that we work together in social projects in Mata Ortiz. So that takes another part of our time. We were talking about it on the way here yesterday, on how we spend our time, and we wish that they had more hours, right?
Oh, of course.
And we can work more on clay without taking away from our social work or our friends, and vice versa, the other way around too. We wish we had more time to work more around the community without taking away from our personal time with clay and art. Of course, the family.
So we just had a nice comment. It says, Diego, it's Maggie from Minnesota. So glad you're working.
Who's that? So
Maggie from Minnesota?
Oh, Maggie, of course, Maggie Flanagan, I think. Thank you, Maggie, for connecting. Hope to see you soon. Yeah, come to Mata Ortiz, come to Santa Fe.
But yeah, it's really kind of wonderful to see everybody work. We've done lots of these demonstrations on YouTube, and almost everybody has the same exact tools. They are a few things that they've made or found for scrapers, a few things that they've made or found their hands, and every single person is able to somehow create something so wildly different from the next person that I find that the most amazing part of what we do here.
Yeah, I think that's probably it would be for me, at least, to the best thing about owning a gallery and working with the artists, with the potters, and meeting them all and seeing firsthand how they work and how they do it, and appreciating all the differences. It's an amazing job. I know it's a lot of work, and sometimes working with people is hard, right?
Oh, there's lots of challenges that are associated with pretty much everything.
If some of the audience right now hasn't been to Santa Fe or to Andrea Fisher Gallery, it is a must in Santa Fe. You want to really see the pottery from the United States, from the Native Americans and from Mata Ortiz. This would be the place, one of the places. I don't want to offend anybody, but it's a great place. Come and enjoy it and have the experience, really. And if you're lucky enough, the day you come, you'll meet probably 2 or 3 different potters, coming into the gallery. See, again, that's one of the things that I enjoy the most, coming to Santa Fe, seeing all the people, and of course this weekend, with the focal market, with all the people in the city, from all over the world. Concentrated here, and all the potters, all the artists, with the different media. Lucky you, Derek.
Yeah, it's quite fun and quite wonderful to be able to live here. So, I enjoy it, and I enjoy personally getting outdoors a lot. I love to go hiking and biking and skiing. Those are kind of what I love to do, and that's something that a lot of people know that New Mexico has, and a lot of people don't know that New Mexico has oodles of, literally. And also, Mexico is a wonderful place to go visit. I really love going to Mexico. Every time I've gone, I feel welcome and comfortable and quite happy to be there. So it's something wonderful that happens between these two countries that we're very pleased about. And New Mexico, obviously was part of Mexico for many, many, many years. And there's a lot of cross-cultural things that exist between the two countries that we like to celebrate rather than to separate, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you.
My pleasure.
See, so I close the shape, making it thinner in a way, not thinner, but smaller, really.
Wow. Making a dancer. So I already attached the legs and the arms. And I'll make a mask for him or for her.
So have you guys been getting a lot of rain lately?
The last couple of weeks, or the last 3 weeks, we're getting more than we have had in the last 3 years, for sure. It's very dry.
I did see some, minor flooding in videos in Mata Ortiz, but it seemed pretty normal.
Yeah, but it's not bad floods, It's just washes coming down from the mountains, into the river.
Yeah, because we really had rain a couple of days, so it wasn't much.
No, we've had more rain more than that, but good rain, like most of the day, 2-3 days, yes.
That's wonderful. We need every drop in the desert here and there. But hopefully not so much that it over the burn scars. Yeah, not all at once and not on the burn scars. Because of course, Texas is struggling. I do know that there was some other flooding across the U.S., including here in New Mexico, which was in Ruidoso, which they had record floods, so just a couple days ago. And of course, it's just terrible to see that sort of thing happen, but unfortunately it goes with fires and burn scars and all that other stuff that we do get here and we get everywhere in the West. So, I don't know what else to say. Does the weather interfere with your production, or do you have to do different things depending on the humidity outside, or, are there things that work well in certain instances and work poorly in others?
Well, when we have a weather like these days, that it's more humid, it's a pretty good weather to make pottery because it gets dry very slow. So it's a good time to get very good pieces.
Yeah, usually we let them dry openly, Whereas during summer, before the rains, if it's very hot and it's always very dry, it's almost 0% humidity, and if the clay dries fast and it tends to break more, so that's not good, But also, like I say, for firing, if it's raining, it's not that nice for firing outside, like traditional firings.
So do you put a tarp down or something to protect your firing area when it does rain?
Yeah, usually some potters also have like porches, or roof, for firing.
Yeah, I've seen kind of like a 4-post shed, so to speak, that is kind of open on 4 sides and has a big vent in the top of it, but it's to prevent it's to prevent and protect the area from water.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
And before you fire your pieces, do you just put them in, or do you preheat them at all?
We preheat them, usually for long hours using lights, heat lamps, like during the summer, you can just put it under the just outside, and the sun will do the rest, the sunlight. But yeah, it draw all the moisture out of the clay before putting it into the firing, because traditional firings are so fast. They go from just regular temperature, 90 degrees to 1500, 1300. So,
We're talking Fahrenheit?
we're talking about Fahrenheit, yep. So yeah, the range for the temperatures we fire to is between 1100 and 1700 Fahrenheit. So imagine going from day temperature, to above 1000. The thermal shock, it's big, and if it still had some water or moisture in it, it would explode. So that's why we need to really dry them well.
Do you ever preheat your pots in the oven?
We do for our pieces after we leave them. Usually we leave them overnight in a cardboard box with heat lamps to draw all the moisture out. And even after that, before putting them into the firing, we put them in the kitchen oven and to a higher temperature, and then from there we take them out with gloves, for heat gloves to the actual firing, just to be sure, and even then, sometimes, it's not good enough. Our clays, the way we prepare them in Mata Ortiz, we clean them very well. They have very little grog. It's very fine. It's very tight, very compact. So it's hard, for the clay to breathe and let all the moisture out. So we have to do it slowly and for long hours. But other than that, once it is fired or it's being fired, you have the piece that was already fired to, let's say, 1500 Fahrenheit. It's red hot. You can get it out of the fire, put it in a bucket of water, and it'll be okay. It won't break after it's fired. In that regard, it has very good properties.
So when you fire a piece, do you do one at a time? Do you do many at a time?
Usually it's one at a time. It's mostly because the way we fire, we use small kilns, or our kilns are very, or unless you make small pieces. Carla could fire a ton if she didn't take so long, making those beautiful pieces, but usually 1, 2, 3 at the most. If they're little, like for workshops, when I teach workshops, we can fire several pieces all together. But those are small pieces, like a few inches tall and wide. And it actually also minimizes the risk, because if the day is not so good, well, you want to fire just one to see how it goes. You don't want to fire 3 or 4 or 5, 10, because then you risk them all,
Wow.
Do you have any questions? Yeah, no, please do. So we get this question a lot, and maybe you can try to answer it, but we've never actually had a potter answer this properly, which is how long it takes to actually make a pot. Because digging and cleaning the clay is a process upon itself. Preparing the clay is a process upon itself. And you can do for lots of pieces, but from start to finish, about how long would a pot take you to make?
You want to go ahead with that, Carla?
Well, yeah, it's depending on each piece. For example, on my pieces, the smaller or the more simple piece, it can take me 10 days to finish it. But it's depending on the piece. It really, I don't have a specific answer,
Yeah, like I said, this is a question I've never had a potter be able to say, I spent 32 and a half hours.
Yeah.
Or a specific amount of time on. But I'm trying to, get at the point that it's very difficult for potters to estimate the fact that it takes a long time to make pots, and you're not timekeepers.
Yeah.
You don't.
And everything counts,
And as I told you, as you mentioned it, sometimes just on the painting, Big pieces, very detailed pieces takes 100 hours.
Yeah, but
to make
that's what I have counted, the time painting a specific piece. But, it might sound a little bit or a lot subjective, but even the breaks we take between activities, between painting this part and then having a coffee or going for a walk, that time counts, in my opinion, because, and in my work it does really, because if I don't take these breaks, my piece is gonna not look the way it's supposed to, because then it's gonna be forced into something, into the specific time that it doesn't have to. All these long hours, they do reflect on the clay as well as the breaks you take between the different steps. So really, it's really hard, to really measure it objectively. You can say it took me 2 hours to collect this clay, or it took me 10 hours to do the hike to collect this other specific clay. So all of that counts, and usually we want to get only the labor hours, for a specific clay or a specific pot, and it's hard. So like you say, you're probably going to have to keep looking for that answer, Derek.
Yeah, I know. I've never been able to have a potter answer it fully, but because there's lots of parts where yes, you have to hike to go get the clay, but do you get the clay for 1 pot, 3 pots, 5 pots?
That's
10
it.
Pots,
Yep.
70 pots, 200 pots. Like it's depending on the size or the amount. And then what's your process for cleaning the clay? How do you begin to clean the clay?
Yeah, but also regarding the time, all the experience you have from working on this piece is going to be incorporated into the next. And the time I spent on this piece, it counts. Because if I hadn't spent the time on this piece, I don't have the experience for what comes next. So at the end, time is not that relevant. It may seem like it is, but all the work, all the time, every day, since we started learning, that counts.
Yeah, everything counts. And also, where do you get your paints from?
The paint, we use the traditional colors and pigments for Mata Ortiz pottery are black, which is manganese oxide, and the red, which comes from iron oxide, and the white, that we use comes from the clays, the white clays we have. Those are the 3 traditional ones because they can be found naturally, without being processed industrially. But these days, other potters are using, I'm using some of the turquoise colors, or some of the yellows, some earthy colors, but they are not precisely found in Mata Ortiz, but they're still minerals, but they come industrially processed, and that's okay. I have to say that because when we speak about Mata Ortiz and how it's all handmade and locally collected, that is true, and that is a big part of our tradition, but I believe that one of the best things about our tradition is innovation. And innovation comes from a little thing we do on a shape, but also it comes from a new color that somebody found coming to Santa Fe and visiting another potter or a studio and finding these different colors that, hey, this turquoise color might look good on my terracotta clay. So if we didn't have this spirit of innovation in Mata Ortiz, we wouldn't be where we are now, in terms of reaching excellence in artistic skills.
Well, wonderful. On that cheery note, I think what we're going to do is we're going to end the live portion of this YouTube show. We've been on for about an hour. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to continue on, see what you guys are able to make for the rest of the day. We'll also be at it tomorrow as well. I'll also do about an hour on YouTube tomorrow as well. So it'll be nice to see the kind of progress that's been made in a bunch of hours at that point. So thank you everybody out there for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you, Diego and Carla, for being here. We really appreciate you guys and hope that we can do this again.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Andrea Fisher. See you later.
Thank you so very much, everyone. It's going to continue for a few moments, just so you know, because